As a result, these villagers in 22 villages around Gombe are now our partners. And now, if you go and stand, as I did last January, and look out over what was bare hills 6 years ago, the trees are now 20 foot high. They are allowing the trees back as a buffer all around Gombe, and the beginnings of corridors which will link our chimpanzees with other remnant groups. Whether they'll use the corridors or not, we don't know, but they will have the opportunity, and that's their only chance for long-term survival. And one thing that became absolutely clear to me, and as I talked to other conservationists around the world, if we don't improve things for people and get them to be our partners, we may as well forget about conservation altogether. Because these are people living in these lands, and if they're not on our side and if they're not supporting us, then there's never going to be any chance of long-term conservation efforts succeeding. As I was traveling around the world talking about these problems and realizing how everything is interconnected, and how the destruction of the rainforest in Congo Basin or Amazon is affecting weather patterns around the planet. And, I was learning more and more about the effects of deforestation leading to desertification and soil erosion, leading to increased poverty, leading to shrinking water supplies, fresh water supplies. And this isn't just in the developing world. Right across the United States, water tables are dropping and surface water is shrinking. And then on top of all of this, we have this terrible pollution of air, water, and land. We all know about pollution. We know that we're growing food that is making our own children sick from the chemical fertilizers and pesticides that are sprinkled out. We know about the reckless burning of fossil fuel that's leading to CO2 adding to the greenhouse gases. People aren't realizing that the methane produced by intensive farming of animals as people eat more meat, this is causing more greenhouse gas than all the automobiles of the world put together. Not only is it thus damaging our environment in that way, but of course it's destroying vast areas of the rainforest to grow grain for cattle or to graze the livestock. And in addition, it's causing terrible damage to human health as antibiotics the bacteria become more and more resistant to the antibiotics that are fed every day to the animals in these intensive farms just to keep them alive. And so the antibiotics are failing to suppress the bacteria, and people are beginning to die of just little scratches on the finger. So it's cruel. It's adding to the problems of the environment. It's just one of the ways that we have to start thinking about the fact that there is no sharp line dividing us from the rest of the animal kingdom. And whether it's the live animal trade, which is decimating the birds and many animals around the world, whatever it happens to be, we have to start thinking differently about Mother Nature. But with all of these problems I've mentioned and all of those that I haven't, no wonder I was meeting young people who were depressed, young people who were angry, many young people just apathetic. Well, it doesn't matter what we do, it doesn't seem to matter. And I talked with some of them, and this is back in the early 90s, and whether they were in Africa, Europe, America, or Asia, they all said more or less the same. We feel this way because we feel that you people have compromised our future and there's nothing we can do about it. Anybody who's got a small child or a grandchild, think of how the world has been harmed since you were that age. I have a long way to think back. And when I think of how the world's been harmed since I was the age of my youngest grandchild, 7, then I feel this sense of desperation. We have compromised the future of our young people. The world is worse than when I was 7 years old. We've been celebrating Earth Day for 40 years. Why should we celebrate when every year things seem to have got worse? No wonder young people were depressed or angry. But is it true there's nothing we can do about it? No, no, no. There is a lot we can do about it. And that's why Roots and Shoots began. You saw some local Roots and Shoots, young people from New England. Roots and Shoots is a program that's now in 120 countries around the world and growing. Its name is symbolic. If you could all imagine your favorite big tree, and if you don't have one, there's some pretty lovely trees here. There's a lovely big, whatever this is. You know. What is it? Tell me somebody. Pine. Okay, it's a pine, some kind of pine. I knew it was a pine, but it must have a name. It's not respectful. Okay. Anyway, when this pine began to grow, it began to grow from a tiny little seed. And when that tiny seed began to grow, little tiny roots appeared and a little tiny shoot, and you could pick it up between thumb and forefinger, and it seemed so frail and so weak. And there are trees way, way, way bigger than this. Think of the redwoods and the sequoias. And the magic is that there is such a life force in that tiny seed that leads to that big tree, that those little roots to reach the water can work through boulders and eventually push them aside, and that little shoot to reach the sunlight can work through cracks in a brick wall and eventually knock it down. And so if we think of the rocks and the walls as all the things, bad things that we humans have done to the planet, not just the environmental ones, but the social ones too, the unequal distribution of wealth and the crippling poverty that is leading to destruction of the planet, the overconsumption of so many people in the developed world and the affluent societies around the world, taking more than our fair share of the non-renewable natural resources. So Roots and Shoots is about hope. Hundreds and thousands of young people around the world can break through and make this a better world for all living things. And the most important message for Roots and Shoots and for every single one of us, every single day we live, we make an impact on the world around us, and we have a choice. And when people ask me, they say, Dr. Jane, what can I do? I'm just an ordinary person. I don't have any money. I can't make big donations. It doesn't seem there's anything I can do. The problems are so huge. What can I do? And I say, if each one of us would spend just a little bit of time thinking about the consequences of the choices we make each day, what we buy, what we eat, what we wear, how we interact with people and animals and the environment, then we would start making the small changes that lead to bigger changes, and even small changes multiplied by 1 billion leads to the kind of change that we must see on this planet if we care truly about our children, grandchildren and theirs. So Roots and Shoots isn't just another environmental program. It isn't just another community outreach program. Roots and Shoots is truly a movement. Roots and Shoots is involving young people, and it's youth-driven. It's involving young people in themselves choosing 3 kinds of project to make the world a better place. 1, to show the care and compassion for people, 1, to show care and compassion for animals, and 1, to show compassion for the environment that we all share. Respect. It's about respect. Love. It's about love. And peace. It's about breaking down the barriers that we love to build between people of different nations, religions, cultures, and now the barrier between us and the natural world. That's what Roots and Shoots is all about. And I hope that you'll visit. Are those stools still up, or have they come down? They're still up. I hope that those of you who haven't had a chance will go and visit the little displays that this wonderful group of Roots and Shoots, these 100 young people from your own area, just go and see what they've been doing. And